The crystalline chambers of the Galactic Council had never witnessed such chaos. Ambassador Zethkri of the Valorian Empire watched in bewilderment as representatives from 47 different species frantically chittered, growled, and warbled their concerns across the vast amphitheater. The cause of their distress sat calmly at the human delegation table. Ambassador Sarah Chen, her hands folded, wearing an expression of serene indifference. "This is unprecedented," screeched Council Prime Veltar, his 6 arms gesticulating wildly. "The humans refuse to negotiate. They simply say no and offer nothing else." 3 cycles had passed since the Confederation of United Species had presented their ultimatum to humanity. The terms were reasonable, they believed. Surrender 20% of human-controlled systems, submit to Confederation oversight of their military development, and accept permanent monitoring stations in their space. In exchange, humanity would be granted provisional membership in the galactic community and protection from the more aggressive species that prowled the outer rim. Every species that had ever been contacted by the Confederation had eventually accepted similar terms. The mathematics were simple. Compliance meant survival, resistance meant extinction. The Confederation controlled over 3,000 star systems, commanded fleets that darkened entire solar systems, and possessed weapons capable of cracking planets like eggs. Humanity controlled barely 200 systems and had been spacefaring for less than 4 centuries. Yet here sat Ambassador Chen, unmoved by their displays of power, unimpressed by their numbers, and utterly unwilling to discuss terms. "Perhaps," ventured Ambassador Quirrell of the Zenthari Collective, his translucent form shimmering with nervousness. "The humans simply need more time to understand the generosity of our offer." Chen's laugh was soft but carried clearly across the chamber. "Oh, we understand perfectly. You want us to give up our sovereignty, accept your oversight, and thank you for the privilege. Our answer remains the same. No. But you must see reason." Veltar's voice reached a pitch that made several species cover their auditory organs. "We have offered you peace, protection, a place among civilized species, at the cost of our freedom," Chen replied evenly. "That's not protection, that's conquest with a smile." Senior Counselor Makthul of the hegemony leaned forward, his reptilian features twisted in what might have been confusion among his kind. "Do you not understand the consequences of refusal? We have destroyed species for less defiance than this." "Yes," Chen said, consulting a datapad. "The Kethamori Rebellion, exterminated after refusing tributary status. The Velnathi Commonwealth, glassed when they wouldn't surrender their outer colonies. The Zenthari themselves, if I recall, accepted terms after you demonstrated your weapons on their moon." She looked up, meeting Makthul's gaze steadily. "We've done our homework." A collective shudder ran through the assembly. The humans had researched their history, understood the pattern, and still refused to comply. "Then why?" whispered Ambassador Quirrell, genuine bewilderment in his voice. "Why choose destruction over submission?" Chen stood, her movement causing a ripple of tension through the chamber. Several species' hands moved toward weapons that protocol demanded they not carry. "Because," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast space, "you've made a fundamental error in your calculations. You've confused submission with survival." She activated her datapad, and holographic displays materialized above each delegation table. The images showed human colonies, not the pristine, defensible core worlds the Council knew about, but rough frontier settlements on airless moons, in asteroid belts, even in the crushing gravity wells of gas giants. "You counted our systems and found 200. You counted our fleets and found them wanting. You counted our armies and deemed them insufficient." Chen's smile was sharp as a blade. "You forgot to count our people." The displays shifted, showing mining operations in places no other species would consider habitable, research stations in systems so hostile that merely approaching them was considered suicide, and most disturbing of all, thriving cities in environments that should have killed any known form of life within hours. "Every human world you could conquer," Chen continued, "represents maybe 60% of our population. The rest live in places you can't even reach, building things you can't imagine, preparing for a war you can't comprehend." Veltar's voice was barely a whisper. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that when humanity says no, we don't just mean we refuse your terms. We mean we've already won. You just don't know it yet." The chamber fell silent except for the hum of life support systems struggling to accommodate 47 different atmospheric requirements. "You want to know why we won't negotiate?" Chen asked, beginning to gather her materials. "Because negotiation implies that both parties have something the other wants. You want our submission. We want you to leave us alone. Those positions aren't compatible." She paused at the chamber's exit, looking back at the stunned assembly. "Oh, and Councillor Macthul? When you destroyed the Kethmori homeworld, you killed their government, their military, and about half their population. The survivors scattered to the winds, bitter and angry, and equipped with some very interesting weapon technologies." She smiled again. "They've been working for us for the past 50 years. The Velnathi survivors, too, and the dozen other species you've pacified over the centuries." The door sealed behind her with a soft hiss, leaving the council in chaos. 3 hours later, the Confederation's ultimatum was quietly withdrawn. Humanity, it seemed, had taught the galaxy a lesson in the difference between conquest and negotiation. Some things they learned simply couldn't be taken, only earned or abandoned, and humanity had no intention of doing either.